the Columbia County Airport Subcommittee meeting. First on the agenda is Dean Knox, engineer.
All right, thanks, Mike. The report for the last couple of months from DPW. Item number one, which is up on your screens, our 2018 New York State Aviation Capital Grant, the Avgas Low Lead 100 Fuel Farm Replacement Project. The county has fully executed the design and construction administration contract between the county and our airport consultant, Passero Associates. Passero continues the preliminary planning and design work for this New York State Aviation Capital Grant funded project, which New York State Aviation Capital funding will cover approximately 60 to 70% of the total project cost. Item number two, on item number one, we anticipate going to finalize the design and go out to bid for that project sometime in 2021. Hopefully do the construction then as well. Item number two, our federal fiscal year 2020 federal AIP grant awards, AIP being Airport Improvement Program. Over the past few weeks, the county has been formally offered all three FAA Airport Improvement Program grants we had expected to receive this fiscal year. Chairman Morrell has executed all three of these grants, and as these grants are all considered federal fiscal year 2020 AIP grants, the FAA will cover 100% of all eligible costs for each of these projects versus the typical 90% federal, 5% New York State, 5% Columbia County funding that's typically set up for AIP grants. That's due to the COVID pandemic, and the additional funding, the additional 10% came from the first COVID stimulus package that was passed, I think, back in April by Congress. So that's where the extra 10% comes, and there's no county contribution, no state contribution. So it was excellent that we got offered all three of these grants. Two of them are large construction projects, so that's even icing on the cake for those three projects. Individually, the North Apron Reconstruction Construction Phase Grant, the construction contract for this project, awarded by the county to A. Colarusso and Son back in May, is close to being fully executed by the county attorney's office and Chairman Morrell this week. A. Colarusso expects to begin work on this project in early October and complete the work either in November of this year or the spring of 2021, weather dependent, as we get towards the end of October, early November. We may have to put the end of the project off until 2021, which we think is fine with Rich Moore. I think Bruce Clark has talked to Rich Gohl and Malin about that in case we need to go into 2021. We can close off a part of the work area and close that off and finish it next spring. Is that correct, Rich?
Yes. Yep.
Yes. Okay. Item number two, project number two, wildlife inadvertent entry fence and the nav aids upgrades construction phase. The construction contract for that project, also awarded by the county to GB Hasty Fence Company Incorporated back in May, is also close to being fully executed this week. GB Hasty expects to begin construction work on this project in early November and will likely complete all construction work in the first or second quarter of 2021. As it's not a paving project like the North Apron reconstruction, some of that work can go on during the better parts of the winter if there's some nice weather, and but we'll probably get shut down here and there. And it also takes place really outside the airside area, a lot of it. So we can continue to work on that as the winter progresses. The third grant that we received was for the Airport Pavement Management Project. Passero Associates has made good progress on several tasks included in the airport PMP project scope. Field surveys, data collection, and ratings of all existing pavement areas on the airport have been completed, and the cumulative PMP report on all pavement, their condition, all airport pavement, the condition, and the proposed future cyclical preventive tasks, preventive maintenance tasks, and the major capital pavement work is being progressed now. The project should be completed by the end of 2020, and it really gives us a good idea of what we should be doing with our various pieces of pavement out there. Cyclically, every couple or 3 years, we do some sealing, crack sealing, and those types of things, and it goes on to, as you go through time, it tells you exactly what you should be doing at certain milestones as the pavement ages. So you do the right treatment at the right times. Basically, that's what the Airport Pavement Management Project is all about. Item 3, the deer removal project. Loom Acres Wildlife Management has continued to periodically hunt and successfully remove deer from our airport property, with the bait station reportedly attributing to an increased success rate. In addition, a number of wild turkey have also been taken and removed from the immediate vicinity of the county airport. We are also working with Loom Acres on a federal migratory bird station permit for the airport, which would allow the legal take and removal of Canadian geese and prevalent species of ducks. Item 4, the Parker O'Malley Air Museum. As time permits, county attorney staff continues to review the files related to the 1990s construction of the Parker O'Malley Air Museum facility and any agreements, commitments, etc., which Columbia County and the museum ownership had entered into at the time of its formation and subsequent construction. We expect that the county attorney's office and the DPW will have a plan or strategy completed later this fall to potentially enter into discussions with the museum ownership on future county revenues for their use of our airport property. Item 5, our 2020 New York State Aviation Capital Grant solicitation. Applications were originally due to New York State DOT by June 15th, 2020 for up to $1.5 million per project. Maximum award amount was $1.5 million in New York State Aviation Capital Grant funds, with each sponsor being able to submit a maximum of 2 project applications. On or about June 1st, we submitted an application to DOT for approximately $1.5 million for funding of the renovation, rehabilitation of major portions of the original airport hangar building, including potential replacement upgrades to the pilot's lounge, which is attached to the main building. The COVID-19 pandemic has delayed the submittal date for applications to early September, and New York State DOT is reviewing all of the applications submitted just now. So we probably won't hear from that, the results of their reviews and any grants that are awarded probably in sometime in the first quarter of 2021 due to the state's funding issues and economic issues with COVID. So we expect to hear something sometime early next year though. Item 6, our COVID-19 CARES Act Airport Operations and Maintenance Funding Grant. A second aviation-related funding component of the federal COVID-19 CARES Act was a provision to assist almost all public airports across the U.S. with some grant funding that would help airport owners to cover some airport facility operations and maintenance expenses during the COVID pandemic. In May, we prepared and submitted an application for this CARES Act funding and received notice in June that our application for $69,000 in federal funding was approved. This grant offer was accepted by the county, and the DPW engineering and facilities divisions are jointly preparing an initial reimbursement request now. So I'm working with Brian and his staff on that. Item 7, there is a community solar farm project being proposed for an area near the airport. We have recently received notice from the Columbia County Planning Board that a large commercial community solar farm project is being proposed to be constructed on approximately 60 acres of private property located in very close proximity to the county airport. The project is proposed to be built along the westerly side of Route 9H, immediately west and northwest of the Columbia County Airport property. Adverse impacts to operations at the county airport are an obvious concern, and we intend to request that either the FAA or the Town of Ghent Planning and Zoning Boards require the appropriate reviews of this project so that no negative impacts to the current or future operation of our airport are realized or caused by this project. And the last item is our 5-year airport capital improvement program. Projects on there. The 2021 is probably the next ones that we'll be looking at. The 2 that are highlighted are the runway 3 end rehabilitation design and the partial parallel taxiway rehabilitation, the design phase. Both of those are projects we think we'll get a grant for next year. It's basically the last roughly 400 feet of the runway, which was not eligible to be done last year when we rehabbed the majority of the runway, but it will be eligible for construction in a couple of years. So we're going to ask for a grant for the design of that piece of the runway rehab for this coming year and federal fiscal year 2021. Also shown in 2021 is the grant that we applied for the terminal building improvements, which I talked about earlier. And that's in there as a placeholder. Hopefully we'll get that grant or a piece of it. And that would be a start, a design start in federal fiscal year 2021 as well, I think. you can look at the rest of the years, it's a little bit out there yet, so we haven't finalized it yet with the FAA, but runway end, the reconstruction project is out in 2022. That would follow the design in 2021. The easement acquisition at the golf course, that's a placeholder in there as well if we decide to go ahead with something like that. Those are in there, and some other projects that are a little bit further out. And that's the draft capital improvement program in a nutshell. So that's the items that I have on my agenda. So, any questions on any of those?
Hey, Dean, on the community solar project,
Mm-hmm.
the company has indicated that they were in communication with you and Jose about the project. The project engineer was supposedly in communication with you, and I was just wondering if at some point you can, I don't know if it was written communication or what have you, but if you could find that so I would know exactly, what type
Yeah.
of communication it was, because I want to make sure these guys are covering all their bases.
Yeah, the conversations that I had were via email with the project engineer. The majority of them were back in the fall of 2019, and it was a very cursory review of their proposal. All I had to go by was basically an aerial photo of the area that they were proposing to work on. So I didn't consider that a final plan at all, and I just assumed that eventually we'd be coordinating any reviews of it once the project became a real project with the town and with the FAA as well. Obviously, our concerns are glare from the solar panels affecting the pilots as they enter our airspace, radio communication interference. I doubt that the airspace obstructions or hazards of any type will be created by the farm, because I think these are probably the lower panels on posts that are 10 or 12 feet high, and I don't think that would probably be a problem in the end. But obviously the proposal is kind of in its infancy, I guess, from what I understand. So we have a little bit of a way to go, but we do have concerns because I think the panels will be oriented, if it's placed where they say it's going to be placed, right in line at 90 degrees to the runway. So it's an obvious concern to us.
My other question was the former Ginsburg property that was sold to a solar company who's been approved for a smaller solar farm there, which is also near the airport. And I was wondering what, they went through as far as any possible effects it could have on the airport, or if they had to get any special dispensation, or was the county involved in that?
Considering that this is the absolute first time I've ever heard of any project at the old Ginsburg or at the former Ginsburg's property, Mike, I would have to say that the airport has not had any say in that project. So that's a complete surprise to me. I would have expected that, whatever town that was in that's reviewing it or giving out permits, or, any of that work would have to come through the airport if it's that close to the airport. So I'm very, I'll say, dismayed to hear that. Because I haven't heard anything about that project. I've seen nothing. I have no knowledge of it whatsoever. I hear a lot.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard about that one. So
I think Kippy could answer that. It's half Ghent and half Claverack.
yeah, I assumed it was probably in the town of Claverack's court there, but like I said, I'm not aware of that. Kippy?
No, you're muted, Kippy.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Gotta unmute, Kippy.
Oops. Okay.
Did we lose? We lost him, yes.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah,
lost
I
him.
think he's trying to push buttons and
Press the wrong one. Here he comes. He's back
There he
on.
there he
Unmute
is.
yourself. Kippy, you gotta unmute yourself. He's still talking.
If you have a cursor, Kippy, it should be right at the bottom. Oh, there he goes again.
Hey, do you hear me now?
Yes.
We
Yeah.
There
got
you
you
go.
on, Kippy.
Okay, so as far as I know, I have not heard anything about that. To be honest with you, I've heard nothing about that one in Clovick. I don't know, it's Park Clovick, Park Ghent, if I'm not mistaken, right? So,
I don't know if they originally that was their plan, but I don't know if they extended into Claverick or if that's a pending matter.
I'm just saying we've got nothing on our docket that I know of any field in that area. We do have fields going up, but they're not in that area.
Yeah.
So that's the first for me too, that you just told Dean.
Okay.
And Mike, our assessor did mention that to me the other day. I thought she had some knowledge of that through the town of Ghent.
Who did that?
Lynn,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
she's
think
also
Mike
our assessor.
Tucker mentioned it. I'll send him an email or something.
Yeah, I know Mike's been talking about it for a while, but I didn't know where it was in planning board stuff.
I got a question. Why would that be an effect on the airport though? It's on the other side of 66. And how far out does, I know the glide path doesn't go over it. So would it impact the airport at all?
How would we know, Kippy, without seeing a plan of it? I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Okay,
I have no clue as to where it is, how big it is, the orientation of the panels. These solar farms are something that I'm not,
Right.
I'm not an expert at, and how these would impact the airport, I have no idea.
got you.
Who would be
Okay, I
able
see
to
what you're
tell
saying,
you
yeah.
that. So, yeah, anything that close to the airport, we always get concerned about, whether it's a solar farm and a big building or, whatever. So,
Okay,
yeah, either one of them raises a concern. Not saying they can't be built. They just, we need to.
right. You need to find out the facts and everything about it.
Yep.
I understand that.
So, if you have any information on it, love to see it.
If I get anything, Dean, I'll sure as heck let you know. Absolutely.
I figured you would.
Yeah, this project went before the county planning board. The county planning responded with it really had no county effect, their standard ruling, but they did have some comments that the company did respond to. I can send you that, Dean.
Okay.
Each and every comment or question that came from the county planning board, they responded to. So.
That's who I found out about the solar farm. That it was actually under review. Well, the project, not the project itself, but I think the zoning change has to be done, right, Mike?
It hasn't gone through seeker.
Right.
I mean, if it moves on, it'll go through the whole site plan process. So.
Right.
Has it gone through your town, Mike? Is it in your town that they're saying it is now or no?
Which one we talking about?
Well, either the one, because anyone that goes to the county has to go through our towns first, correct? Before it goes to county planning. So that's what I'm
Well,
asking. Which one?
they're
Both again.
They're basically at the same time in the beginning, and the ELP East Light project over on the former Ginsburg's property. Yeah, that went through the town process.
Oh, okay.
The one on 9H is just beginning,
Sorry.
basically,
Got you.
so. Um, okay, are there any questions?
Well, I got something for the whole board, if you guys can hear me. I talked to Carmen Martino there, what's his name, owns Meadow Greens property. And he would
Nero.
like to, Nero, and he wants to sit down and talk to somebody from the county, and I'd be willing to sit with somebody else. He's got an idea that he'd like to throw by us, and for negotiation purposes for everything to take it out of the. So there's no more problems. I said to him, this is crap that we have to go through crap at our end of the county, and you got to go through crap. It doesn't make sense. So I said to him, let's get this settled. And he said he's willing to talk. Now, I don't know if we can do it without going through Rob first. I don't know how it's been set up, but I would love to be on board with that and talk to him and some of the board members to talk to him and see what he wants.
I would say definitely run this past Rob first, because we've been in,
Negotiate. Yeah, we've
you
been
know, court proceedings, so.
That's absolutely true, Mike, yeah.
Yeah, we
I would-
certainly want his input on it, that's for sure.
yeah,
So you want me to follow through with it, Mike, and talk to Rob and then get back
Yeah,
with you? Let you know where we're at?
contact the county attorney
Okay.
first and.
Yep.
All right,
I'll let you know what I find out.
all right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Skippy.
Yep.
So Dean, this capital improvement project, 5-year plan, is that just being submitted in writing and,
Yes.
okay,
Yep, we'll discuss that with the FAA. You know, and Mike, normally we go down in the fall, but with COVID, they're not entertaining, personal meetings. So at some point in time, we'll have a conference call with them if you'd like to sit in on that, or Ron or whoever else would like to, be happy to let you know if we do that. So, yeah.
okay,
And that's a living document, you know, we modify it a couple times a year. It's to whatever extent the FAA feels we can go with certain things. They kind of drive the bus as we prepare that anyway, so. But that's the current draft of it. Just thought I'd share it with you before the end of the year.
okay. Is Brian on? Thank you, Dean.
My pleasure, guys.
Yes, I'm here.
What's new and exciting going on with facilities at the airport?
Not much. Still repairing our deer fence at the north end. Going out there this week to fix it again. Just cut down a tree that was starting to grow into one of the hangars, and just keeping up with the gutters, because this time of year with the leaves, if they get in our gutters, they're going to back up, and then we get leaks all through the building. So, but other than that, just keeping up the routine maintenance and getting some information for Bruce regarding some of the new grants and projects that may be coming down. So
Okay.
that's pretty much it.
Any questions for Brian?
Nope.
Rich Goal is on from the airport.
Actually, Rich and Malin are both here.
Oh, good. I had communicated with Malin last week. I had some comments at our town board meeting, and I just wanted to touch base with Malin because I hadn't talked to him for the entire year. So if either one could, or both of you could just give an update on what's going on at the airport.
Well, the last half of March, April, May, and the first part of June were completely dead. Had no flight school activity because we couldn't do it with the schools. The charter activity was, I think we did 2 charters in that whole time period. But the second half of June, July, August, and so far in September, the activity at the airport is more than what it's ever been. I think people have moved up here out of the city, and now they're doing their flights in and out of Columbia County instead of Teterboro and White Plains. So we've got lots of activity, and that's good.
Is that mostly jet activity,
Yes,
Malin?
yes,
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. The jet activity is probably, I'd say, our busy months. It's probably twice as much as what it normally is. In fact, we had 2 large jets in here today.
And that's charter business, or
Are they
Well,
buying
private and
fuel?
charter activity. It's in fractionals, where people, net jets and flight options, have lots of New York City people up here now, I think.
okay?
So hopefully it
Buying
continues.
fuel?
You should see, I would think, by our payments each month that they're higher than what they normally are.
Okay.
I just
Do you have
had
a question?
about fuel. Are they buying fuel?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So I've got a question for Malin. Malin, I was just wondering, have you had any interest from the people coming up here for hangar space or anything like that? Because we've talked about the public maybe putting up other hangars or something, or doing something through the county. So I was wondering if you had any interest at all.
Yes, there has been interest. There was some local people that were talking about buying a light jet and basing it here. It is difficult with our hangar space because they're generally full. We've also got one of our customers that's talking about buying a larger jet, and we wouldn't be able to put them here. So, yes, it would be nice if we had another hangar.
Okay. Food for thought. We'll have to talk about that in the future. That's for sure.
Okay, be happy to do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Malin, you had mentioned to me about the National Guard are they doing training off and on at the airport? Is that something that's
That's something that's been ongoing for a long time. They
okay?
come down and shoot approaches to the airport, and I would think that most of it are training flights. Yes, but that's always happened over the years. It's the helicopter activity out of Albany.
Right. Okay.
Mike, what were people talking about at your town board meeting about the airport?
Well, it's interesting because somebody was asking whether the flight traffic had increased over the summer, and they also mentioned noticing the military helicopters. So those are the 2 reasons I got a hold of.
I would
Malin.
think from what I've read, corporate aviation, business aviation, with the type of aircraft that Malin manages and operates, is going to be so much more popular than first class and commercial flights and things like that. So I don't know if it's temporary, but I have a feeling it may be a little bit more permanent. So those that can afford it certainly will take advantage of companies and aircraft like Malin has. I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's correct, and we're seeing
Uh-oh.
our airplanes. We've got people that wouldn't normally charter an airplane that are chartering now
Mhm.
and going longer distances, even in the turboprops.
I can do them before I leave.
Yeah.
I can do them before I leave.
That's good
Right.
news.
Okay. You have any questions or anything, Malin, or anything else you want to talk about?
No, I don't think so. Everything seems to be going good, and we've got the support that we always get from the county, and we appreciate that.
Malin,
You're
could I ask,
still-
Rick, if you know, you talked about having a slow period and then being busy. Where are you year to date with revenue? Do you know?
I think we're probably ahead of where we were last year. I haven't asked Debbie to look at it, but
Okay.
I think we're even or maybe a little bit ahead. And if the traffic continues for the rest of the year like it has in the last 3 months, I think we'll be ahead.
Thank you.
At least I hope so.
Yeah, right. I do too.
All right.
You got anything, Rich?
And just buildings, but I mean, I don't know,
Well, we got the
yeah, we'd
Works,
love to see
yeah.
a little bit. No, I think that's it.
Okay, anybody have any questions or anything? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good
All
night.
right.
Thanks,
Night.
folks.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate your time.
Later.
Hey, Mike,
Yeah.
sorry.